Three, two, one. What's up, everybody? Listening live. I am DJ Anthony. This is my co-host, our PhD in biochem, Magnus in Cali. I'm in Jersey. Today's show. What's in your head? The human brain. You know, it's funny because I was thinking of a show idea. As I said, mentioned to you off camera, Magnus. I said, what can we talk about? Oh shit! The greatest computer that's ever lived, that's ever been quote unquote invented, the greatest computer ever, right here between our ears, the human brain. By the way, we're not giving any advice. Always check with your healthcare professionals. Okay, so Magnus, the human brain, and it's funny because as I had this idea, the show idea today, I said to myself as I was driving to Starbucks, I'm like, yeah, what the hell is the brain made out of? I didn't even know what the brain was made out of. I'm just now I know. I researched it, but I was like, yeah, what the hell is the brain actually? I mean, we know the brain is the brain. It's in the skull, but I don't think most people know past that. Like, yeah, the brain makes us think, and the brain makes us do shit, and the brain, is the control center. I think that's it. Most people just that's all they know.
I don't even people think much about the brain, period.
No, I know, but I'm saying if you put a gun to someone's head and say, take a guess what the brain does, most people are going to say, yeah, the brain is the, makes us do, it's the thinking, whatever. But that's all they know. So the brain actually, I was kind of blown away because the brain is made of 60% fat. So it's just, most of the brain is just old fat. So the brain is made of fat, water, protein, carbohydrates, salt, blood vessels, and nerves.
It's actually mostly water though, because it's in water is in around the if you have it in fats and stuff like that as well too. So yeah, it's that's why, for instance, when we're saying don't get dehydrated because it affects cognitive and body function as well. Right. Basically, because the brain is dehydrated, right, and reaction times get slower and so on. Right. So yeah, no, it's nuts.
And the brain only has two types of cells: neurons and glial cells. That's it. So that's interesting.
Do you know? Oh, so here's another thing I want to ask. Okay, so what color is the brain?
Well, if I had it, just looks like it's a tan or a kind of opaque, kind of tannish color. I don't know.
Yeah, no. Usually they always talk about. I mean, it's like blood and everything like that. So it's pink red, right? But use your gray cells, right? They usually like brain cells gray. It's actually most of the brain is actually white because of the neural pathways that goes in, and they're covered in the myocell sheets, right? That protects the neurons and things like that. So it's super super fascinating.
Yeah,
so when we're saying use your gray cells, it should actually use your white cells, but they're both gray and white. So
and the brain produces electricity. That's how we talk. Know everything. Whatever.
Do you know how much electricity it actually produces?
Yes, it can power a light bulb.
Yeah, but basically a small LED light bulb. I think it's something like 23 watts or something, which is, I mean, it's pretty decent. So I mean, you can actually make it light up if you connected it. Yeah. So it's amazing. It's crazy.
And the brain has the crevices and the wrinkles because it's only there so it can fit inside the skull. That's why it's wrinkled. It kind of condenses. That's why the wrinkles are there. I was like, oh damn, I thought the wrinkles were something else. It's just strictly, I guess it seems like, just to fit into the skull.
Yeah, I think it has to do also with the surface area, that you get more surface area in there as well too.
Right.
So I mean, like you see that. It's very common in the body. You see, say for lungs, for instance, how that works, and then also in your mitochondria and everything like that. And so that pattern is repeated a lot in nature.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? And so quick ones here. So the brain continues to develop until a person is in their late 40s. Holy shit! It doesn't. I will
actually say that it continues throughout their whole life, basically.
Well, neuroplasticity, right?
Yes, exactly, because it arranges, rearranges, and things like that. So it's actually, I mean, we can still say that it continues to develop throughout our whole life.
Right. That's why it's important to read and do puzzles and engage with people. And so that's a fascinating brain weight. The average adult brain weighs about 3 pounds, which is 2% of a body's weight.
Yep.
Brain composition, the brain is made up of about 60, or we talked about that. Brain activity, brain constantly active. So
that's another fun fact too. So you said that it's about 2% of our weight, right? Our body weight.
Right.
It's the brain. Do you know how much energy did the brain actually use of what we produce?
I knew the number, but I heard it's something large, right? Like a large amount of.
Yeah, it's 20%. Something that small that needs that much energy. It's crazy, and also that's why. A lot when you have kids or when you're learning new stuff, that you come home and you're like super tired,
right?
That's because you're using so much energy,
computing power.
And the brain, like, it's glucose. That's basically what it uses for energy. And then people say, oh, but I'm going on a keto diet. Yeah, but then you use ketogenic bodies that it can use as well too, which is not its preferred energy, and it get rearranged and so on. So yeah, no, it's a lot.
Now, the size of a person's brain doesn't necessarily indicate their intelligence. So you could have a larger brain than somebody, doesn't mean you're smarter than them, though.
Yeah, no, it has nothing to do. Otherwise, I mean, like, large people would be smarter than the small people, and we cannot really say that. So,
although you could make the argument, I mean, a 2-year-old child's brain is smaller than a 30-year-old person's brain, and the 30-year-old is smarter because it has a larger brain.
Yeah, but also you have way more life experience as well too. That
I'm saying, but that brain is large. Like, your brain is bigger than a 2-year-old's brain.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So size in some respect matters.
Okay. Let's say it as an adult brain, a developed brain. Then
I know, but I'm saying, like, really, I think size, no pun intended. I mean, size again does matter, because at 1 year old, your brain is not the size of a 40-year-old brain.
Yeah, no, but then also, like, so if we do that argument as well, then
but 2 40-year-old brains are not the same either.
Yeah, no, but then you're saying, like, then a blue whale will be the smartest, most intelligent, because it has the largest brain, right?
Right.
But
well, I don't know how large is a blue whale's brain.
It's big. It's ginormous. But from size wise, when you're looking at size wise, the humans have really, really big heads and brains. So it's different. So you cannot say, oh, the biggest brain. Yeah, no, we don't need to, like, it's not like an argument. It's just that it's just more fun facts. Yeah,
interesting. So so your brain storage capacity is considered almost infinite, but it's immense. I think we take for granted, Magnus, when we say, oh, 2 times 2 is 4. The capital of America, Washington, D.C. Like, just to know something simple, that's computing power. The brain has to know that without me struggling. I'm saying words to you. That is learned. That is stored. That is reignited anytime I want to call it up. And so we forget that everything, words, simple math, directions, these are computing power that our brain didn't know at once, and now it does know, and it stores it, and it can recall it faster than a millisecond. So it is a wonderment, this thing between our ears. And I always say, I'm not saying that anybody's particular God is the right God. However, to say that there's no force, no God, I think that's a little bit naive. I think that's a little bit ignorant. And again, I'm not saying any one religion's right, but it is a wonderment, this brain. And in my mind, someone had to have crereated it again.
It's very engineer-like.
Yeah,
everything is very engineer-like.
And we did a show on this, but I mean, if I see a chair wash up on the beach, I'm not going to be like, oh, chairs just happened by mistake. No, I would say, somebody fucking made that chair. It fell off a ship and it washed up on shore. Well, the brain is a lot more intricate than a chair. But some people say, no, brains just happen. It just fucking happened. No, somebody must have designed this fucking brain that's bigger than just the Earth and the galaxy. And it just, again, it's a marvel.
The super interesting thing about that is, like, when you're talking about learning, like when we're talking about short-term learning and long-term learning, and also like how our brains decide on what goes in between those, like, because that's why sleep is so important, because the brain kind of never rests in one way or form, because it's always active. I shouldn't say that it doesn't rest. It's always active, right? So even when we're resting, it's very active, when it goes through our dreams. And a lot of that's when a lot of things goes from if the brain thinks that it's important to remember, it goes into long-term memory, right? That's the same thing. Like if I ask you, okay, like, could you give me the like pi with 2 decimals? You know, like the math most people remember, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, to your point about the brain and when you sleep. Now, some scientists believe that our brain can actually release hallucinogenic chemicals called DMT. It's in the
oh,
pineal,
it does.
the
It's
pineal,
it's proven. That's
pineal
been
gland.
proven. Yeah.
Right. And so that our own, well, and if you really think about it, our brain releases a lot of drug-like stuff, right? When someone has an orgasm, that is, now I don't do drugs, never did, but my understanding is cocaine and orgasms are very similar in the euphoria and the excitement, and our brain releases that naturally. When we have a dream and we think that it's real, but it's not, that's something like DMT being released by the pineal gland in our brain. So the brain is very, very amazing too. Like
that's why it's also they also seen that you sleeping on your side is actually good for the brain, because then it basically activates its cleaning cycles better, so it actually goes over and makes our brains healthier. So brain health is actually and also like that sleep is so important for mental and physical health, and especially when we're talking about brain health, right? Because it needs to kind of organize itself. We're working on you know, like the pathways and stuff like that. So I think that's super, super cool. One thing that I think, like, people are pathways, like, think of the brain, and then you think of snow, right? So over time, it's like it's continuously snowing in our brain, basically.
Yeah.
If we're using a pathway, we're walking in the snow, and it becomes like bigger and bigger, and like it's a huge path, like almost like a highway. Those are the things that we use like almost all the time, like and things like that. And then other things, you know, like if we're not using it, it starts to snow over. So that's why we can rewire our brain, because we can forget things and change pathways in our head. But that's why it's also so hard to break someone's, you know, like when like your usual norms and things like that.
Yeah.
If you're not practicing, and it's very easy to fall back into old patterns unless you have basically built that new pattern into a strong, good like pathway. So it's it's super fascinating.
And I know everyone likes to shit on cholesterol, but cholesterol, 25% of the body's cholesterol is in the brain. You need cholesterol for your brain. No cholesterol, you die, or you know, whatever. But so yeah, dude. I mean, the brain is an amazing machine. It's more than a machine, and the brainstem controls involuntary things like breathing and
I mean, could you imagine if we would be forced to remember and blinking our eyes and doing this and pumping? I mean, it's like it's impossible. So there's so. That's why I'm like, if someone watches like a picture of the like metabolic pathways, which like the brain is not like doing all those things. There's a lot of other system in it, but like just the human body and organs and everything, how it works, it's super fascinating. It's like it's plumbing, electricity. You have like this structure. You have like basically your AC, or we should call it like maybe more of climate control. I mean, there's so many things going on, which is insane.
It is amazing.
And I think the most fascinating fact still, though, is that how little we know about the brain actually.
Right. We know more about the oceans and the space and the universe than we know about our own brain in our head.
Yeah, and, it's very, very fascinating as well too. And also like how we're trying to figure out how dreams works and all those things and how important they are. And everything. So I mean, I find it extremely fascinating. Also how you like how vivid dreams could be, like it's basically like you're repeating things like it's in real life.
Dude,
and when you wake up, it's like, oh shit.
I dream so vividly. I'm a big vivid dreamer. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I think for a lot of people watching, I don't know, but like I've had dreams just like last week where I swore to God I was awake and cognizant and there, but then, you know, I wasn't.
Do you have a lot of lucid dreams so you can kind of control what goes on in them sometimes?
Yeah, like, you know, I can walk here, I can walk there, I can run or stop. I also do once in a while, maybe twice a year, I'll have dreams where I fly. And
Mm-hmm.
dude, I really think I was reality. Like, it's just fucking crazy. And I wake up, I'm like, holy shit, that wasn't real? Like, it's just fucking and then, I've had, like I had dreams where I was hugging someone or kissing someone, and I thought like that was real, and I woke up, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit. But it was scary because it's like, I really thought that was real.
But it's also interesting how quickly we forget dreams too. It's like when you wake up, like, oh, it's super, like it's super detailed and things like that, and then you're like, oh, I'll fall asleep again, and then you wake up again, and it's like, and it's completely gone. You're like, well, listen, what was it that?
I don't know about you. Yeah, I don't know about you, but we're not getting into too much detail. But I've had dreams, and I think most people have, where the dreams are so real, it makes your heart beat faster. It makes you sweat. It makes you do a bunch of things.
Nightmares, dude. That is basically kids' nightmares, but in adult form.
Let me just say this, or even romantic dreams. Fill in the blank. I mean, like, it's amazing how the dream can make the body do anything from being scared to sweating to whatever, and it's just like, holy shit, I didn't do anything, and I'm like,
that is another cool fact that I want to add too, is that when you're sleeping, how the brain kind of disconnect from the body, because if we were connected to our bodies, we would be falling out of bed constantly, because we were doing things like we would be up walking, we would be like jumping, we would do all sorts of things, and like trashing around and running in place and stuff like that. So yeah, that's why people have some dreams, like just when you go to bed. Have you ever, when you get like that, like kick out when your leg kind of kicks and stuff like that, or your arms like twitches and things like that. That is a way for your body, because you're falling. That's just happening. You're falling asleep and they're connected. So the body gets freaked out. It's like, okay, what happened with our legs? Did they get cut off? So then it sends out that kind of like, it's like a submarine sending out that ping, bing.
Yeah.
And like,
even so, we forget that, back to the whales, all mammals have brains. My dog, I watch my dog Rocky. Yeah. And you probably see your dogs. When my dog is dead asleep, sometimes I see him. He's out. He's asleep, but he's walking, but he's laying down and he's walking. I'm like, holy shit, this dog he's dreaming. And you can tell, like, and he's like barking, but he's fucking cold out.
Rocco is a barker at night too. Archie growls more, and then Rocco has a lot of rapid eye movement.
Yeah.
So you can look at it, and sometimes his eyes are like, they're open, but not completely, but they're open, and you can actually see. So it's like, it's so it's fun.
So it's like whoever
and
made
it, and then the same
God
thing.
went into the parts department and said, fuck it, we'll just give everybody the same type of shit.
Yeah, no, but that's again what I'm saying. Like. So biology likes to reuse things over and over and over, because it's like why reinvent the wheel? It doesn't have to be perfect, but it likes just like, okay, is it working? Okay, like if it works, don't fix it. This is works enough. If it's not fast enough, it needs to be slower, things like that. Then that's why we have mutations happening, and then that thing changes.
Yeah, no, it's utterly amazing. And it's funny, scientists, can basically create artificial, almost everything, artificial bladders, artificial hearts, artificial kidneys, and those are getting better and better. At some point, they'll be able to be implanted into humans within probably years. But we can't do the brain. The brain's I don't know.
But that also, like, the brain needs also so much oxygen as well too. So that's why it's so important. Like when if you have someone that falls down or like go unconscious and things like that, it's so important that you make sure that they
can breathe.
Or at least or like you do CPR and things like that as well too. And because we have a ton of oxygen in our body, so just having the like basically that you're making sure that the rib cage kind of pumps the blood.
Right.
I mean, you can save someone's life that way. So that's another thing that I always like to tell people, like, get trained in CPR and all these things. It's so important. You can save someone's life, and you become a real life hero when you do things like that.
No, absolutely. So the brain's amazing. I mean, any other parting words, Magnus, about the human brain before we part?
No, like again, I think the brain is amazing. I wish we knew more about it, but maybe we shouldn't know more about it because it's like Pandora's box, maybe. So I don't know. I mean, I'm super fascinated, and I think that I do think that we will see some breakthroughs within research when it comes to the brain, and when we're talking about specific sicknesses that could happen in the brain and things like that too. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I think that the if you're looking at the science world, they're doing a lot of very cool things.
Oh yeah, listen, science. You know, your scientists are working every day, every hour to learn across the world about the brain and other body parts. I mean, so I'm sure we'll start to learn more and more as every day goes by, but it's incremental.
Yeah.
But anyways, okay.
Yeah, very good. And I think there's one other thing that, like, I hope, like, a little bit of our show, that people actually get fascinated about things and start looking in and learning things themselves too. So like spark an interest, because I think it's like being science literate. It's so important nowadays to understand like a lot of things, what goes on and so on. So it's and again, and I can tell you, we need more people in science and in engineering and things like that too. So if you have kids that are interested in these things, please keep them interested in it, even when they go through school and things like that, so we can actually get them into science, and hopefully it will help cure cancer and all other crazy diseases and so on.
Eventually, yes. Well said, Magnus. Thank you, everybody. Check back in. A lot of great content coming up. And
bye, guys.
Subscribe, please. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out of here.